Film snobs of Reddit, who was the single worst casting choice in Hollywood film history? John Wayne as Genghis Khan. Whole movie was a fatal disaster. Lot of actors got cancer. I waited almost 30 years for a Morbius, the living vampire, film, then they cast Leto. Fuck. It's morbing time. On another note, I'm sorry for your loss. I didn't know this was an actual series and I can't imagine your disappointment. I got halfway through in the attempt to find out if he actually says that and gave up because it was so bad. Maria Bello in The Mummy 3, replacing Rachel Weisz. It would have been better to say Evelyn died than to use Maria Bello. Concur. She completely lacked the charm that Rachel Weisz brought to the screen and lacked chemistry with Brendan Fraser. A cardboard cutout of Rachel Weisz would have had more charm than Maria Bello. Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's as Mr. Yunioshi is pretty infamous. I never understood even the point of that character. Added nothing to the film. The point was racism. Who the Hash and Dollar cast Topher Grace as Venom? Seriously, the kids from the 70s show. He's not scary at all. Especially when he's screaming in agony. I'm just thinking to myself, this is bad. Can somebody dig into this and see if it's the same casting director that put Eisenberg as Lex Luthor? I said Heisenberg, not Eisenberg. The director probably. I think Cranston would have PWNED that role. Oh yeah, NGL Cranston would do more justice to the Lex Luthor character than the Justice League. I have to give this one to John Wayne as Genghis Khan. This movie was so bad it literally gave people cancer. Probably. Maybe. I'm not a film snob, but Jared Leto as the Joker stands out as a what the fuck choice. Jared Leto in anything. Just let his acting career die already. I liked him as Paul Allen. Keanu Reeves in Bram Stoker's Dracula. His attempt at a British accent is hilarious. I love Keanu, but he should have passed on that one. Denise Richards trying to play a nuclear physicist in The World is not enough. She's pretty, but she's about as convincing of a nuclear physicist as a dog chewing on an atom-shaped chew toy. Pierce Brosnan really got done dirty by those last 2007 movies he was in. It's too bad. GoldenEye was one of the best. But they couldn't seem to keep it going. No Love for Tomorrow Never Dies? That was the best of the Brosnans emo. It's still a fun movie, and it's got the perfect cast. I love Michelle Yeoh so much, and Jonathan Pryce great, and really isn't in enough. But GoldenEye had an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's ranked number 10 in top RT scores for the series. Tomorrow Never Dies has a 56% and is ranked 22 out of 27. Neither that or Twine really lived up to how much GoldenEye had going. The weird tank with the face on it, the amazing radio dish location, the video game tie-in. I don't know about single worst, but when I think of terrible casting lately I immediately think of Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets. Those two leads were horrendously miscast, and it sunk the movie. One of the finest examples of a movie having an absolutely incredible first 5 minutes while still being absolutely shit. I'm still not sure if the leads are supposed to be siblings or if they're dating. Yes. I remember it being panned, but I loved The Fifth Element, so I gave it a go anyway. The opening scene with the future progression on alien diplomacy had me thinking, this is great. This must be one of those movies that critics just didn't get it and will actually be a cult classic. Boy, I wish that had been true about the other 98% of the film. I was so fucking hyped when I saw just the opening bit in a video. I remember thinking, why the fuck haven't I heard of this movie before? The absolute crushing disappointment that followed. It still hurts. James Corden in Cats. Rebel Wilson in Cats. Taylor Swift in Cats. Idris Elba in Cats. Cats, basically. Cats came out in mid to late 2019. COVID came out in late 2019. And #X200B, I'm not saying there's a causal link, but... Cameron Diaz in Gangs of New York. She's not bad, but can't match DiCaprio and Daniel Day-Lewis. Honestly, Daniel Day-Lewis was on another level in that movie. I remember watching it as a kid, and even then I felt like I was watching Leo, Cameron Diaz, and a dude that time traveled from the turn of the century. Leo and Diaz basically pay themselves while Daniel Day-Lewis disappears in his role. Daniel Day-Lewis was the sole person who made that film work. Legend. Justin Chatwin as Goku. The fact that a Dragon Ball movie had one Japanese actor in it and she had like 3 lines of dialogue. God, I fucking hate that movie. It's hands down the worst anime adaptation of all time. I've seen porn with better writing and acting. Fun fact, the actor who played Piccolo did it because he loved the franchise and actually went on to work on the anime. Yeah, I love James Marsters. He does a great job on the Dresden Files audiobooks and also, of course, Spike. He was really the only redeeming quality of that movie because he actually was a decent Demon King Piccolo. Wish it was in a better movie though. The cast for The Last Airbender. The acting alone was enough to make it the worst movie of that year. I mean, I've seen better acting in Liberty Mutual commercials. There is no movie in Ba Sing Se. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. The cast the wrong Berg, should have been Heisenberg. He did a phenomenal job playing the character as it was written, but it's a terrible Lex Luthor. Tom Cruise playing the 6 feet 5 inches mountain of muscle Jack Reacher. Lost my asset over that decision. He was fine as the character, but the movie definitely lost the main appeal of Reacher. Should have just done a random action movie instead. Alan Ritchson nailed it across the board, though. Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates. There are times I feel like I'm the only one who remembers this movie happened. And then I envy those who managed to forget it. I saw this in a theater before seeing the original and thought it sucked. Then I watched the original years later and was blown away with how much better it was. Donald Trump as POTUS in the live-action remake of Idiocracy. Terry Crews as Dwayne Elizondo Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho was more convincing in the original. Idiocracy was a comedy. I'm still not sure why that remake was done as horror. Correction. Idiocracy was intended as comedy, but ended up as a documentary. No one was mad about a black president and everyone was willing to accept evidence-based information that conflicted with their previously held beliefs. Idiocracy is hopeful fantasy. Tom Holland as Nathan Drake for the Uncharted movie. I guess Chris Pratt was too busy filming something else that Hollywood couldn't get him to do it. Cheeky smiley face. Still not sure how this movie was never made with Nathan Fillion. To think how this could have been. I still think Bruce Campbell was the obvious pick for Sully alongside Fillion playing Drake. Coppola's daughter in The Godfather 3. Yeah, and I think she was a last-minute add-in too. She was filling in for another actress who has scheduling issues or something. Winona Ryder. We almost had her. Damn.